All right, hi again. So in this video, I'm going to try to take you through a kind of a quick overview whirlwind tour of Lightroom Classic. It's so classic. So we're going to talk about Lightroom Classic, obviously. Lightroom Classic versus Lightroom. There's two different things, confusingly. Maybe some alternatives compared to Camera Raw real quick. And just to kind of talk about what is Lightroom Classic, we'll look at keyboard shortcuts and raw files and modules. There's a bunch of different modules inside of it, and then some other things as well. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but you can freeze it and take a picture if you want. Okay, so hopefully I'll cover all that. So this is Lightroom Classic. I'm going to have you guys import some images and make a new catalog and import some images. But before we do that, let's talk about what Lightroom Classic is. So Lightroom Classic is the desktop app that's been around for quite a while. It's used by a lot of amateur and professional photographers. What it's really good at is cataloging and reviewing images and sort of organizing them in a lot of different ways, which we'll look at. And you can also edit the images, obviously. So that's what it's good at. It's similar to Camera Raw in some ways. We can talk about, if I go to, let me go to Bridge here, and I'll open this image. So this is Bridge, Adobe Bridge. And if I right click and go to Open in Camera Raw, which you'll see a lot of times in other videos, you'll see that a lot of the things that are in Lightroom are very similar to what they are in Camera Raw. So if I look over here in the right, in the editing controls here, under the Basic tab, you'll see exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, etc. to edit this image. If I look at this image in Lightroom, this is Lightroom now, same thing, right? Here's exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, etc. So a lot of the same things, a lot of the same algorithms and underlying programming. So the good part about that is if you learn Lightroom, at least the editing stuff over here on the right, you also will know most of the things over here on the right in Camera Raw. So sometimes you'll see videos this semester, obviously with Camera Raw, sometimes Lightroom, probably mostly Camera Raw. But it's good because you'll know a lot about both if you learn the basic editing parts. The part that Lightroom does better than Camera Raw, or Camera Raw doesn't do it at all actually, is the organization part. So you could theoretically do, I'm going to cancel out of this. This is Bridge, right? Bridge has some of the same things that Lightroom has as far as organizing. You can do collections, you can do tagging, you can play with keywords. Here's keywords here. So you can do a lot of the things in Bridge that you can do in Lightroom, and you can do a lot of the things in Camera Raw that you can do in Lightroom, but Lightroom does both. So yeah, hopefully that kind of explains it a little bit. Sorry, that's confusing. Compared to Lightroom, though, there's Lightroom Classic, and then there's just Lightroom. Lightroom is an app that was developed later by Adobe, and they kind of wanted to replace Lightroom Classic, I think. It's more consumer-oriented. It is more cloud-based, so I think the idea is actually for Adobe to charge you to store your stuff online. That was probably part of the idea. So yeah, so that's a little bit different, a little bit more, like I said, consumer oriented, maybe more for amateurs, although professionals can use it too. Lightroom I'm talking about. When Adobe went to a subscription-based model a few years ago, professional photographers who had a lot of their work inside of Lightroom got annoyed because you used to be able to buy Lightroom and just have it, right? And then you would do your editing and whatever you're going to do inside of Lightroom, and you edit things, right? And then it's saved basically in Lightroom. I mean, you can kind of get it out, but a lot of your work is in Lightroom, right? Your images are not changed, but the work you do, the editing, is part of Lightroom. So now that it's subscription-based, you're kind of paying a ransom a little bit. That's the way I see it, right? You keep paying us or you lose access to your great image work that you did, right? You still have your images, but you don't have everything that Lightroom contains. So that is a little bit of a problem. A lot of photographers got mad, but I think a lot of photographers still use it. It's probably the most popular app for this kind of thing. If we look at other alternatives, there are some other ones. Skylum Luminar is one. They are based in Ukraine. I think. And during the time of this video anyway, Ukraine is not doing too well in certain ways, aspects, right? So, but they're still around as of this video anyway. They might not be by the time you see this, I don't know. There's also other ones like Capture One, Affinity Photo. There's more, there's also Photoshop Express, which I guess is kind of a mix of Photoshop and Lightroom maybe. That's kind of more consumer oriented too. But there are alternatives, but Lightroom is still kind of probably the most popular one. So hopefully that makes sense. But yes, so what is Lightroom? Talking about what it is. Like I said, it's an editor and it's also an organizer of your images. It is non-destructive, meaning if I edit an image, if I go in here and edit an image and do some things to it, I'm not actually changing literally my image. I'm only saving some edits basically, and we'll look at that in a few minutes. But so it's non-destructive, meaning you can't wreck your original images. That being said, you definitely want to have more than one copy of your original images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this is not the catalog we're going to use. I'm going to go new catalog, and hopefully I gave you these images here. I have some images here for you guys to use. Let me get rid of this, whatever that is. I have some images there. They're mostly NEF files, which are Nikon RAW files. And I think you've probably already seen a video about RAW files, but RAW files are a type of file that's kind of unedited by your camera. When you shoot as a JPEG, which is the other usual format, JPEGs are kind of pre-cooked. Your camera cooks them or processes them, applies saturation and sharpening and things like that, right? An NEF file or any kind of RAW file is the straight image file from the camera sensor. So they are much more usable as far as having more dynamic range. You can see more into the lights and darks in the image. But the downside is they kind of need to be processed. So that's what, and hopefully you've seen that already, but that's what these are, is NEF files. Those are Nikon files. Every different brand of camera manufacturer has different types of RAW files. I think Canon is CR2, and then Sony has their own, and everybody has their own. So that's another little issue, right? But Lightroom and Camera Raw should be able to open those files as long as the camera's not brand new. Sometimes it has to wait for a little update. But anyway, this folder that I gave you with these NEF files, I'll try to slow down a little bit. I think I'm going a little too fast. These NEF files are, I'll give you these so you can import them. So, and I think you've already seen a video on importing, so we'll go through this quickly. I'm gonna make a new catalog though to make sure you see how to do that. I'm gonna make a new catalog. I'm gonna go inside of this folder, make sure there's nothing in there. So these are just the images. I'll save this as Lightroom demo. And this is going to create a folder with the new catalog. So that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say create. And now it opens up and there's no images in it. Why is that? Because I haven't imported any images yet. But if I look in that folder, now there is a folder called Lightroom Demo, which is the name I gave it, right? And then there are a bunch of files in there. So these are Lightroom catalog files, basically. These do not contain your actual images. They are references to your images. Your images are still sitting here, or my images actually. I took them, they're mine, right? But they're still sitting there, but now this catalog is gonna refer to them after we import them. It's not even doing that yet. So one thing it's important to remember with Lightroom and RAW files in general, right, is that if I take this Lightroom demo folder and I try to take it, you know, to my aunt's house and work on the stuff, I don't actually have the images, the real images. I have a reference to the images. So you want to have your Lightroom catalog folder and your images usually. You can edit proxies, but I'm not going to get into that. That's a specialized situation. But generally, you want to have your catalog and your images. If I only have my images, I'll have my images, but I won't have the edits. If I have the catalog, I'll have the edits, but not the images. That makes sense? It kind of takes two. It's a tango, I guess. All right, so here I am in this blank catalog. I'm going to import. So I'm going to go, and like I said, I hope you've seen this already in a different video, but I'm going to say import photos and video right there. And I'm just going to go to that folder. So I'm going to go, I think this is it. Yeah. So I navigated to my desktop where I had that folder. I think you could probably drag it into, but I navigated to the desktop and found those images, and they're all checked by default. Like I said, hopefully you've seen this already. So I'm just going to import them all. And remember also that there's a lot of stuff you can do as you import. Yeah, I think you've seen that in another video. You could change the name, you could save a copy, you can do a lot of things. You can even process them with these develop settings as you import, but hopefully you saw that in somewhere else. Okay, so I'm just going to import, because that's not what this is about. I'm going to import, and there we go. Yeah, so I've imported those images. Awesome. So this might not look exactly what you have. I've made a couple preference changes, but I'll try to show you that. One is that I'm using the expanded cells, they're called, because I see more information in there and things like that. But hopefully I'll touch on that as we go through. So I'm just going to kind of go in a clockwise fashion in the direction of the clock around and kind of show you just a super quick tour. So across the top, we've got what are called modules. So I've got library. Let me see if I can zoom in here. We've got library, we've got develop, map, book, slideshow, print, web, and I may be missing one on the end. No, that's it, right? And then I've got cloud over here. They are trying to sell you cloud storage. You don't have to use it, I don't believe at this point. But yeah, so that's what that is. So these are kind of self-explanatory. Library is where you look at your images. Obviously, develop is where you process them. Map is a place that you can see locations. So your images, depending on your camera and how you took them, can have location data embedded in them. So you can see that on a map. I haven't run into much use for that. There's also a book module that will take your images and put them into a book that you could theoretically get printed. Never actually done that, but you can do that. There's a slideshow module, and I'm going to come back to the big ones, which are library and develop, in a minute. There's a slideshow module where you can make, what are they called? Slideshows, yeah. So why would you do that? Well, for example, maybe you are a wedding photographer and you shoot the wedding, right? And then you go to the reception and you want to sell some photos. So you make a slideshow and then you run that slideshow during the reception. Everybody goes, oh, look how awesome those pictures are. I'll give you all my money. Here's my credit card, right? And you got rich. That's just a fantasy, but that is kind of the idea. You could do a slideshow right off the bat with your images. So that functionality is in there. There's also a print module. So if I click on that, you can obviously print from Lightroom, and you can also print or do what are called contact sheets, or basically picture packages. I'm gonna leave it on single image contact sheet here, and I'm gonna go down to page grid and change the rows and columns so you can see more images. I think they'll just show up. Oh, I only had one selected. I've got to select some more images. So I just selected 9 images, and I'm gonna go down here. So I selected them by clicking on them and then holding down Shift in this this bottom drawer here, and then I'm going to go over here and do 3 rows and 3 columns. That makes 9, right? That's my 2nd grade math coming, probably 4th grade math. So now I've got my 9 images, and then I've got my 9 images in this contact sheet. There, I could also go picture package and do the same thing, I think. Let's go 3 by 7. No, that's just doing the same image. I'm not going to show you that because I really don't use that too much, but you can do picture packages so you could print out a bunch of images together. Maybe you'll see that in a different video, but that is under print. And then web, I think there has been a video about that, but if you haven't seen it before, you can output directly from Lightroom. You can output a full website basically with your images. You can click on them. It even shows you this is what it looks like if you made this website. And Lightroom will make the website for you. And you can change all this. There's different styles. Here's a grid gallery. Here's a square gallery. And some of them are fancier than others where you can kind of makes it into a slideshow that you could show. And you can, once you make this gallery, and anything that we do over here, we do on the right to set the parameters, change the name of the gallery, etc. But you could export a gallery down here, right here in the bottom, and then you could put that on a web server if you had a website, and then you've got a gallery, a web gallery on the web. It's pretty easy, and I think you've seen a video of that hopefully already, or some other reference. So I'll say that a lot in this video because we could spend, you know, a week and a half on this video for Lightroom, but I will give you different references for different parts of the stuff that we're kind of talking about. All right, so that's the modules. I want to go back to library because that's where you're going to be most of the time, and the develop module. So library, again, is where you kind of organize your images, and then develop is where you process them. So library has some couple different views here. I'm going to skip down to the bottom here just to show you real quick before I forget. There's a grid view. By the way, in Lightroom and most Adobe apps actually, you can hover over controls and it'll tell you what they are. So this is the grid view. This is the loop view. This is the compare view. This is the review. I forget what the survey view, sorry. This is the creepy facial detection view. So those are the main ones that you're gonna do. The facial detection is, it detects people's faces, and I think you can have it detect specific people, but I'll show you that later, maybe or maybe not. It's a little too creepy. It's AI and stuff, I think. So here's the grid, right? You can change, the important thing to remember is you can change the size of the thumbnails right down here, right down there. So if I wanted bigger ones, I could go this way. If I want smaller ones, I can go that way. I have made a change already before this video. If I right click here, I think, and I go to view options, I believe. Yeah. So I right click on a thumbnail and I go down to the very bottom where it says view options, and you can pick here. By default, you're gonna see compact cells like this. I actually like the expanded cells because then you can see more information. I can see the file name, and I can see what kind of file it is and how big it is and stuff like that without rolling over it. So I like that. And then down at the bottom under expanded cells right here, you can pick what you see in there. So you could see all kinds of information about your image right inside the thumbnail. So right now it's set to index number, which is this number, the name of the file, the dimensions, the file extension, stuff like that. But you can change all that. So that is one change that I would probably make. So that's why we're seeing all that. So that is the grid view, and then this is the loop view, or the, is it loop view? I forget the name of these. Yeah, loop view, E, right? So this is G, this is the grid view, and then E is the loop view. That's just so you can see closer. We're still in the develop, we're still in the library module, we're not in develop. You can also, a good shortcut that I like that you gotta remember is the space bar often does something good. So in this loop view, if I hit the space bar, then I can see this at 100%, and the cursor turns into a hand and you can get in close and see things. You can also see that over here in the navigator since we're seeing it there. In the navigator, if I hit the space bar, I can drag this around and see different parts of the image. And up here at the top, since we're on the navigator, I can change it from, let me go back out. I can change it from fit to fill. So if I do fill, it fills the whole window with the image. But if I do fit, it shows the whole image. So it's just a different zooms. There's also zoom ratios and things in there like that. But remember, spacebar is often a good one. So that's in the loop view. There's also a compare. Let me get two images that might compare. Yeah, let's do these two. So I selected these two pictures of the London Bridge. It's not falling down as far as I know. And then I'm gonna go to the compare view, and then I can see the two versions. So it's so you can see images a little bit bigger, and then select different candidates if you know there's slight differences in them. So that's a view. And then there's also, let's do all three of them, and I'll do the next view, which is the survey view, and that lets me see more than two. I can see as many as I want. So I could add more, and then I can see them bigger and compare them, right? So those are the different views there. I tend to stay in the library view most of the time. All right, so that's important. Let's keep going around the horn here, and then we're gonna come back to develop at the end. Yeah, So right here, I've got a histogram. So if I select an image, it shows me the histogram, which is important to see if your exposure is right. So since that is mostly on the, this is kind of a dark image, right? But it's mostly on the left, so that's telling me it's kind of a dark image. I can always improve this image though, which we'll look at. Down below that, I've got quick develop settings. So these are, there are a bunch of presets built in. So I could say, let's say season, summer. I don't even know what these look like, some of them. Yeah, that didn't do much. But there's a bunch of presets in there. You can put your own presets in there as well. You can change the white balance here. You can do basic exposure controls, but these are all quick develop. We're gonna see the develop has a lot more control. Yeah, so the next one down is keywords. So these two are Rome, I believe. So I can go over here to keywords, and there's a separate video for this one or a different reference for this one, but I'm just gonna show you real quick. If I type in Rome and hit enter there, it just tagged those images with Rome. And then I don't have another picture of Rome, but I'm gonna pretend this is Rome. I don't think this one's Rome. So now if I select that one, now you can see under keyword suggestions, there is Rome. So I could click on that one, and that's applying the Rome keyword to that one. You're like, who cares? What is that about? Well, so a lot of, and you can see now that there's a keyword on that with this little icon right there. And if I click on that little, I think it's supposed to be a pencil. It shows me the keyword in the keywording panel. There's a lot about keywords, but there's a separate video for that. But keywords is one way that you can organize your images. So you could say like, oh, these are all people, or these are all this person, or these are all this sports team, or whatever they are. You could put keywords on them, and it's a way to search, which I'll come back to in a second. But anyway, that's enough about that because there's a separate video for that. So that's keywords. I'm gonna keep going around. So down here is the film strip, which you can see. So if I go to the, you're like, why do I need a film strip if I can see them all here? If I'm in the develop module, now I've got my editing controls on the right, but I still see all my images here on the bottom. So I can go through them that way. That guy's really friendly. He's in Florence. And so that is, the film strip is pretty helpful. And you can also see little icons in there which tell you like if it's been edited or not, and some other things inside of the film strip. Let's go back to the library. So I'm going to keep going around here. You've got a publish services section over here, which means how do you get, you can publish these images to your hard drive. I haven't set that up on this version of Lightroom, but you could, it's basically like a shortcut to export images. You can publish to Adobe Stock, you can publish to Flickr. There's more. There used to be Facebook in here. I probably wouldn't do that, but yeah, maybe you have to. I don't know if there's an Instagram one actually. I should probably check. But that is published services. There's also collections. So that is in another video as well, I believe, or another resource. But basically collections are sort of virtual folders. So just quickly, if I said, I'm going to select these two, and I'm going to hit B on the keyboard. That added it to a quick collection. So over here, I can see that I have two images. Oops, sorry, I tried to zoom. I have two images in that quick collection. So if I click on it, now they're in this little quick collection. I can right click and I could save it, and I'll call it Rome collection. I don't have to put collection on there, but just to be clear. And now if I look under collections down here, it says Rome collection. So if I click on that, I see those images. So they're, like I said, they're kind of virtual folders. It didn't move your images or anything. It's just a way to kind of collect them. Oh, it's called collections. That makes sense. Right? There's also smart collections and things like that. But like I said, there's another resource video or other for that. So I'm not going to spend all day on that. The next thing is folders. That's where you can just navigate through things, or the folders that are in your catalog, let's say. So here's a folder that I had called HDR, which has 3 images in it. Here's a folder that has Pano, which Lightroom can do both HDR and Panos, which you will see later in the semester. Wow, that's like called a tease, I think, in the publishing business or in the broadcasting business. But yeah, so you can see different folders inside there, or you can click here and see everything. So it's just a way to navigate through folders. Then there's this catalog area here, which is pretty good because it can see all your photographs, obviously. anything you put in a quick collection, which I just emptied because I made a real collection. And you can see previous import. So if I imported more images to this catalog, I would see that under previous import, but I would see all the images under, I gotta remember to zoom so you guys can see. I would see all the images in this one, and I would see the last ones I imported. So you can keep importing, and then you'll see different versions or different imports. Okay, I think that is the circular. Oh, I talked about the navigator already, so I think we're good. I wanted to show you a few more things inside of the the organizing part. So I talked about that you can put in keywords and things. Like I said, there's a different video for that, but really what it's, some better ways to do it are flagging. You can flag an image, you can rate it, or you can give it a color label. All that stuff is underneath here under photo. So if I go under photo and then I go down here to, now I gotta zoom again. I can set a rating. I can set a flag, like flagged, unflagged, or rejected. I can set a rating from 1 to 5. Yeah. And then I can decrease and increase ratings. I could set a color label, which I kind of like those. And there's other things you can do too, but those are the main things you wanted that you do. So let's say I just went through, I wanted to go through here real quick and I wanted to say which ones I like and don't like. So I'm gonna go to, that's where I might go to the loop view, and I can now use my arrow keys. I'm using my arrow keys, and I'll say flag. So flag is P, and I'm not gonna flag that one, and I flag that one, and I flag that one, and I don't like that one, so I'm not. And then, okay, I'll flag that one. Not gonna flag that one. I'll flag that guy, sure. And then, etc., right? So I just flagged all those. Now you can see down here in the, if I go back to the grid view, they have little flags on them, right? And then down here in the film strip, they also have little flags. So that's kind of one way to quickly mark things. If you want to remove a flag, then you can hit U and that removes the flag. So P to flag it, U to not unflag it. And then you can do X if you want to say it's a reject, which means you really hate it, but I don't usually do that. Okay, so we flagged it. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is ratings, obviously. So you can do that a couple of ways. You can, if you're in the expanded view or the compact view, you can just click on a rating. So let's say this is 5 stars, and this is 4 stars, and this is 3 stars, and this is 5. I like that one. And then this is, I kind of like this one too, 5, and that's a 1. And that's a 5, I guess. I have to say that. It's my daughter. And this is a, I know for a fact this is actually a pretty cool image, but I can't see it yet. I'll show you in a while. But I'm going to say that's a 4 star, etc. Right? So now I've got like star ratings on there. You can also do it with keyboards, which is faster. So here I'm going to hit 4. I changed it to a 4 or a 5. I'm just hitting the number 4 or the number 5. And then I'm going to hit the arrow key and say, well, now I think that's a 3. And that one's a 4. So whatever you want to do, you just hit the number you want to do. What I kind of like is color, because I don't know, it's just easier to see. So I can hit 6 to make it a red label. I can hit 7, yellow, 8 is green, and 9 is purple or blue. Yeah, sorry. There's no 9. No. And if I want to take that, oh, yeah. So there I go. I did my color labels, right? So I kind of like to do that as well. So you just saw 4 ways. We just saw 4 ways to sort of organize images. You can make a collection. Well, that's another way. There's more than 4. But I can put a flag on it. I could put a rating on it. I could put a color on it. I can put keywords on it. I can put it in a collection. There's tons of ways to do things like everything else, right? So now that we've done that, I wanted to show you real quick, which people miss, is this cool way to filter things. So up here at the top, it's a little hard to see. I don't like the interface on this, but there is filters. So I can click on, right up here, I can click on metadata. That's taking the metadata from the image. And look at this, under label on the right, it has all the label colors I just used. So if I click on blue, it's only the blue ones, only the green ones, only the yellow ones, right? I can also do it by lens on the camera. So that's data from the actual images. So these were all shot with one lens. These were all shot with a different lens. I could do it by camera. I should zoom in. I can do all the images shot with a D500 or D7100. Oh, there's only one of them. Okay. And then I can also do it by date. This one has some various dates in it. So you can see dates in there. And not just those elements. Let me just go to everything again. Not just those criteria. I can go under these menus. Let me zoom in and click on this, and you can see all these other things you can do it. You can do it by flag, length. I'll show you a different way to do that. You can do all the aperture. I don't know why you would do that, but you could. So that's all in there too. Then there's also attribute. If I click here, I'm going to click on attribute, and then I could sort by the things we just did. I'm going to sort only the flagged images, and I can click again to unselect that filter. So now I'm filtering by flagged. Now I'm filtering by 1-star images, 2-star images, 3-star images, 4-star images, 5-star images, right? And then I can click again to turn that off. I can see all the red ones or the yellow ones, or you get the idea, right? I'm just filtering by all those different criteria. I can also do text. So the 4th one up here is text. If I click on that, what am I searching? I can search any searchable field. Yeah, there's a bunch of different parameters you can see here. I'm gonna search for, what did we call those ones? We called them Rome. Oh, look at that. I typed Rome, and only the ones I tagged with Rome as keywords showed up. Huh. I could also do that down here, but so that's really important to remember that filter bar is up here, because it will really help you. Once you get to have 32 million pictures like I do, I don't have that many probably, you got to be able to find stuff a little bit easier. So that's the cataloging part. Okay, I think that is most of it. Keyboard shortcuts. I wanted to show you that. So there are obviously a bunch of keyboard shortcuts for every app, right? But there's a good page on Lightroom Classic User Guide, which has a lot of obviously tips and tutorials and things like that. There's a page with shortcuts. A good one is Tab. That's just one of them, right? So if I hit Tab, it hides and shows the panels on the side, so if you need them or don't need them, that kind of thing. There's obviously a ton of them. I showed you some for rating an image, right? If I hit the number 3, it gives it 3 stars. So there's a ton of those. You can check those out. And once you learn them, it will make things faster. So I did want to mention that. I think that is pretty much it. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you that's really cool, just because I think it's really cool. If I go underneath File and I can go to Tethered Capture. And you might see this in a video, but maybe not. So I wanted to show you now. Tethered Capture means I can attach my camera to a computer and shoot, and it will go directly from the camera into a Lightroom catalog. So say you are a big time photographer and you're working with a client, and the client can sit there and watch you shoot, which is nerve-wracking, but then they can see the image come up and you can do editing right away. Oh, I did want to show you one more. That's pretty cool, right? Let me show you one more thing. So I'm going to show you the develop module just real quickly. So, and we'll see more of this because this is the major part of it, right? So I'm going to click on this image and I'm going to go to develop. And then over here on the right, this is where you've got the important stuff as far as editing. Across the top, I've got my settings. I've got crop. Let me see if I can zoom a little better here. I've got settings, which is processing basically. I've got crop, where I can rotate and crop. I have a healing brush where I can get rid of ugly blemishes and acne. I've got red eye reduction, so I can get rid of devil eyes or that kind of stuff. It's kind of an exorcism button. And then here I've got my masking tool, which you definitely will see another video on. That stuff has changed recently, so it's kind of ridiculous. Maybe I'll have this time. Yeah, I'll show it to you eventually, maybe today. But here's where my main editing tools are under basic. So all these different corrections are under that this first tab, and then you've got crop and other things there. So just to do, most of the time you're going to spend in this basic section. So just to do a 15-second edit on this, I'm going to say it needs to be a little bit brighter, and I want to bring the shadows way up and the highlights down a little bit, even a little bit brighter. I'm going to, and I'm over here editing. Hopefully you guys can see that. And I'm going to bring the whites up, and I'm looking at the histogram up there and the blacks down a little bit, give it a little more contrast. Did I do contrast? A little bit of contrast. And I'm gonna add some texture and clarity and a little bit of vibrance. Now it depends on the image what you're gonna do, but I think this exposure needs to go up just a little bit more and bring the highlights down a little bit more. And we're gonna do this a lot, so don't worry about this too much. But there you go. So now that I've done that, I can click this little eyeball, and this is kind of newish. I can click this eyeball, or hold it actually. If I click and hold, that's the original image. Doesn't seem very good, right? Now, oh, that's not too bad, right? I think I gotta go even brighter on the shadows and exposure. But you get the idea, right? So you do those edits inside of this panel over here on the right. And there's a lot of other things that I probably should do. I definitely should do this one at least. I'm gonna go under lens corrections and I'm gonna do enable profile corrections. There's another video on this, I believe, too, as well. But I'm gonna click enable profile corrections. That's gonna correct for that lens you see that I used on that image. You can see down here in the bottom right, it knows what lens I used. So it has corrections for that. If I check and uncheck that, you'll see that it's kind of correcting for a little bit of, basically, I think it's barrel distortion or some kind of distortion. So that's under there as well. And then there's other things. There's a lot more, obviously, which you'll see. But I think that's good. I did want to show you, let me see if it did it, what I thought it was going to do. No. So yeah, so those settings that I just did are saved in the file and in the Lightroom catalog. Two more things I have to show you since we started to edit an image. Over here on the left, I've got a history right over here. So if I look, I can roll over these history. This is like an ongoing record of what you did. So I can roll over these and actually see up here in the navigator what that version looked like. If I want to go back in time, I can. Or if I want to go forward in time, I can. It's a time travel thing. It's like Avengers Endgame, basically. Wait, was that time travel? I think so. So that is history. That's pretty cool, right? So you can say like, well, I made a mistake a while ago. I'm going to go back to exposure and start back there. There's also snapshots. So if I click plus, I can make a snapshot. I just clicked plus right there. And that makes a snapshot. A snapshot is one specific edit point, right? So I'm going to click create. And now you can see that snapshot. If I do other things to this image, let's say I do that. And I'm like, oh, that was a bad move. I could do this, click on the enable the previous history, or I could click back on that snapshot and it goes back to that point. So you can add snapshots as you go, and then you're like, well, maybe I like this version, but I'm gonna keep going. And then there are also the presets that we saw before are under here. So once you get good at, you can use these pre-made stock presets if you want, but once you get a little bit of what you like, you can make your own presets. And then you can just one-click things and they will, this is not working for that. I'm gonna go back to my snapshot and get back there. But you can make your own presets and save them. So if you do the same thing a lot, you save it as a preset, you don't have to do all that. You just click on the preset. All right, I know I kept saying I was done and now I am done, I think. So hopefully that was helpful, not too fast, but that was just kind of a quick overview. And you will definitely be doing a lot more stuff in here in Lightroom and or Camera Raw. Like I said, most of this stuff that I did over here is exactly the same in Camera Raw. So that's it. I will talk to you again later.